There we go. Okay, lovely. Thanks, Monica. Hi, Monica. Lovely to see you. Welcome to the room. So what I'm going to do is crack on. I need to share my screen. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. Oh, hi. Lovely to see you. Lovely. If you have questions along the way, you can put them in the chat, but I'm really happy if you just wave at me and I'll pause. So let me see if I can share the screen and go into okay. Now, let's firstly check. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah,
great. Coming through,
yes.
okay, great, lovely. So, okay, let's do a little bit of a walkthrough. This is obviously the homepage for the Tudor Travel Guide, and this is where, as members, you will access the member area. You have your members area here, and this takes you to, it's a shortcut really, it takes you to all the most important places. You have your dashboard, and we'll come back and we'll walk through the dashboard in a moment. I decided, because I know so many people love the podcast, to make that accessible directly here from the members area, but you've also able to go directly to the video homepage within the membership as well to catch up on the latest videos. And then finally, we have a hot link through to the members community, which again, we'll stop at today. And it's here, of course, that you can access all the details to do with your own account and your own subscription. So let's go to the dashboard. That is the hub. It's the heart. It's the beating heart of the membership. Everything that you will need, you can access from this page. And what you will find if you're coming to TUG for the first time is that pretty much every page has a similar layout. So once you get a hang of how each page is laid out, they will be replicated. So there's an air of familiarity as you work your way through the site. Now, I said that this page is the heart of the membership of TUG, because here you've got all your main pages. You've got your travel itineraries, you have the map of the Tudor locations, we have our growing library of Tudor tombs, we have the historic accommodation area and travel essentials for those folk who are at road trip traveller level, and then also you have the ability to access the community. I will just carry on so that you get the entirety of the page. Moving on from the main blog area, we've got our Tudor Talk section, which will always be advertising the next talk. In fact, I just did one, as you know, last night with John, who took us on a virtual tour of Tudor Oxford. I've actually already linked that up, so we'll have a look at that when we get through to the Tudor Talk page. And
that was great.
Gemma, as you know, who helps me on TUG, we'll be switching this over to next month, which next month is going to be Phil Roberts from Ipswich. He loves his Wolsey, and of course there's lots of celebrations going on in Ipswich at the moment to do with Cardinal Wolsey. So we'll be talking Ipswich and Wolsey, which, as you probably remember, I had a chance to walk around with Phil earlier in the summer, and it was enlightening to say the least. Below that, you have our masterclasses, and you can, I'll come back to these. You've got the masterclasses, you've got, so that all the video sections come next with your access to your virtual summits, and then any progress related videos. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, you can click here to go straight through to the podcast page. So that's the layout of the hub. Everything, as I say, can be found here. So let's just go and have a look at some of these different areas. So we go into our travel itineraries, which again, I think is the heart of the ultimate guide, because I know when I was thinking about putting this together and I was talking to all sorts of different people, one of the things that came across loud and clear is we want itineraries, we want itineraries. So that's why itineraries take such an important place. I do aim for the ultimate guide to, oh, Diane's here. I do aim for the ultimate guide to cater for those people who can't travel, what I call armchair travellers. Those people who nevertheless love learning about Tudor history, and particularly Tudor history through the lens of the places in which the events occurred. But I'm also particularly passionate about history and travel, and going to standing these places and touching the walls and feeling the vibe. And so, of course, this is why I wanted to have another level available to those people who do travel and who want more information on itineraries, on how to get around, on how to make the most of time and their money available. So this is why I've divided up the Ultimate Guide into those two different categories. So, however, having said all that, even when you come in to look at the itineraries, there's something for those people who never travel as well as folk who want to hit the road. And the person-based itineraries are all wrapped around Tudor progresses or important Tudor journeys. So, for example, at the moment, if I click on here, it will take me through to the home page for the itineraries by person. And you will know, for those of you who've been around for a while, that I've already covered the 1486 progress. We are following Elizabeth of York and Henry VII on the 1502 progress through Gloucestershire to South East Wales. And next I want to do Elizabeth. Now, these progresses do take quite a bit of research. And as you can imagine, I've got many plates spinning. I'd love to make faster progress with them, but my determination is to make steady progress. And as long as I keep putting one foot in front of the other, we will get there. But it's not just progresses, actually. I'm really interested in important journeys. So, you know, for example, I'd love to, in the fullness of time, cover Henry VII's journey from Brittany to the Battle of Bosworth. I'd love to cover Mary I when she first finds out that, you know, she gets recalled to London after the death of Edward, and she finds out she's being lured and she takes flight and goes to Framlingham. I'd love to do that journey. Maybe even do a pilgrimage with Catherine of Aragon to the, you know, so important Tudor journeys and progresses will all be in this section. So I'll just illustrate, I'll use Henry, I'll use the 1486 to illustrate what this looks like. So each progress will open up into an introduction page, which will hopefully give you an interactive map to show you the nature of the journey and the progress, because there's nothing like seeing it. I think it's really hard if you're not that familiar, particularly with English geography, to see or to get a sense of the length or the perambulation. So I'm really keen to have lots of interactive maps, and you'll find those throughout the Ultimate Guide. Then at the beginning of every progress, you will find some introductory notes that sets the scene, that gives the context, which talks about some of the sources that I've used and come across. What was happening right before the progress took place that we need to understand to make sense of what subsequently happens. And then if we continue down, at the end of each post, you will get an indication of where to go next. There will always be a click here at the bottom. And in this instance, this begins the 1486 progress with the place that Henry first left London, the Priory of St. John of Jerusalem. And within this section, this is where I do all the detailed write-ups of the places. So this is what I love doing. I love going deep. I love finding out bits of information that, as you were saying, Laurie, don't often get spoken about, that will enable us to go on our own journey, should we choose, and stand there and try and see what places and spaces and buildings and remains are there, but have enough information in our imagination to be able to recreate them. So, as is my way, you probably know me by now, I think most of you, I love trying to recreate what a place would look like, even if you've just got an empty field with a few earthworks in front of you. My aim is always to try and find as much information as I can, so that if you go and visit, you can stand there and you can see it in your own mind. So that's what much of these blogs are about. So wherever I can, there will be the oldest possible image I can find that takes us back as far as we can. There will be floor plans if they're available. There'll be maps if they're available. I'll do my best to illustrate and reconstruct with images. And then, of course, to talk about what actually happened. What records are there at that particular point? What event was unfolding? How did the couple spend their time. And often also what happened to the, as you can see here, what happened to the building in question. And then, of course, we will move on. And so you will go on and you will be able to follow the entire progress. I also, by the way, quite often will put a little map of the locality and give you some idea of some other Tudor places in the area, because that's the other thing I hear people, I don't want to go here and completely miss that 10 miles down the road there's something else, and I've traveled halfway across the world and I've missed this thing. So I try at the bottom to give an idea of what you must also try and see in the area. It might not be related to that progress, but it's another important Tudor place. And then I'll list my sources and any links that you will need. So that's how these go. I'll just move this down a little bit. I think I just need to go, I probably just need to go to here. That's where I need to go. Okay. So I'll just dip into the latest one. So this is the 1502 progress. This is, as you can see, writing in progress. You've got the same start, the same map telling us where we're going. And the same introductory notes. And the 1502 progress is fascinating because it's so different from the other progresses, and such a tragic start to the year with the loss of Arthur and Elizabeth promising Henry that she'll have another child, another son, and how quickly she gets pregnant, and how courageous that was at her age to do that. And as Sam Harper, who's done a lot of work on Henry VII, I've chatted with her for the podcast. I think you've heard her on the podcast, guys. She describes it as a trip down memory lane. It's not a big political progress. It's quite intimate. They're heading to Raglan Castle, which was the place in which Henry, of course, spent part of his childhood. So it's no ordinary progress. And once again, I'm trying to give you here an idea of the events that ran up to this progress, what was going on in the background that gives you an idea of perhaps their mental and emotional state as they leave on the 1502 progress. Again, talking about some of the important resources and sources that I've drawn upon. So same format. If we click forward, we'd end up at Woodstock here. What I'm going to do actually is just do a quick, see if I can go straight to the Flaxley Abbey. This is a test of how I get around my own website. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to knit forward. Let's just knit forward a few steps if we can. Through Woodstock. Might be quite good to put links on the map, actually, if I could, just to allow people to go straight forward. Langley. And that's another fascinating. I'm dying for somebody to do a time team dig at Langley, because it's such an important palace. It's been visited by so many royalty. And these earthworks, these were the gardens. It's just a fragment of what remains, and there's, as you can see, the H and the E, Henry and Elizabeth, adorn the building, and inside you've got this fabulous, again, HE. I just think there's so much that this building has to tell, and nobody's done any significant research on it. Nobody's got poured through all the documentation and tried to really make sense of it. So I think there's a lot to see there. So if I just get down to the bottom, oh, I haven't put a next in. Oh, goodness me. Right. Okay, hold on. I know where I'm going. Excuse me a minute. You're going to dive into the bowels of the Tudor Travel Guide, I hope. I hope. Yes. Let me go to Langley. This is what goes on behind the scenes, my friends. Flaxley Abbey, there you go. That's what I want. Let's go to Flaxley Abbey. And we'll just bring it up. Okay, so Flaxley Abbey. So, Laurie, you said you'd had a read of Flaxley Abbey. What did you find interesting? Yeah. Can you remember anything that particularly struck you?
Yeah, I think just the history from it, dating back to the Angles, yeah, or prior to, I guess, just around that time. I had no idea. And then obviously when Henry and Elizabeth went, still some of those remain, or that was largely where they stayed, or so we
Yeah.
think. But of course, unfortunate, it was it was dissolved ultimately too. But was it sounded like just their time there was memorable with the hunting and other things that were going on in that area was a key part of their progress.
Yeah, I mean, and what really interests me, or one of the things is this is one of the locations I'd never looked into before.
Yeah.
So it's like I get so excited when I'm going to somewhere I've never been, when I've never heard of it, because it's like just you open
Yeah.
this book and you just don't know what's going to come out. And so
Yeah.
I was, like you, fascinated to find out this particular stop on the tour is kind of on the Gloucestershire border heading into Wales. It's in a beautiful area of the country called the Forest of Dean, which still exists today, albeit in a reduced state. And I was just fascinated, like you, to find out that there was once this fantastic Cistercian abbey that had been established and patronized by kings going back to William the Conqueror. And in fact, I don't know whether I actually wrote about it in this article, because it wasn't Tudor history, it was very early medieval history. But when the I don't know whether I write about it or not, but when the abbey was founded, I think it was the young Henry II, before he was Henry II, they had a huge procession to officially consecrate the abbey, and there were 6,000 people turned up. And they had this enormous tournament. And if you go now to Flaxley Abbey, so I'll just show you a picture, it's so peaceful. It's quite incredible to conjure up this image of, there must have been so much colour and noise and celebration. And now you have this idyllic spot which is nestled in the depths of, I think I've got a closer shot for you if I go down. I think I do. Yes, I do. Nestled in the base of the valley. And what we've got here is, this is, I think it's the eastern range of the cloister, two kind of ranges of it. And you can see that this looks like a medieval building. I mean, you can just see it. There are some other pictures online, but then they're not really mine to show. And this is why I'd love to go and have a look, because the rooms that were like the King's Hall, it's still got all the kind of vaulted sort of medieval vaulting. And so it's, although of course, as you can see, huge amount of the abbey was destroyed, that's all that remains. There's been a lot of changes over the century. The walls were so thick, and the architecture so substantial that part of it survived. And uniquely for Flaxley, I think, as I say in the blog, because they were constantly getting royal visitors, they had this set of apartments in the cloisters with this King's Hall, which I have, of course, read of rooms being reserved for the King and Queen in various religious houses, although very often they took over the abbot's lodgings, but never quite in the way that I found at Flaxley, with a whole kind of suite of rooms and a great hall, and that wasn't, that was really put to use when royalty visited, and as they did over what sort of 500 years, until Henry VIII and Cromwell came along and pulled it down and gave the remains to Kingston. Yep. So
but you can't visit it, right? You said it's privately owned, so you just have to.
Yeah. So I'm looking here, this photo is taken hanging over a wall. So there's the village and the road, and then there's a wall right in front of where it is, but you can easily look over and see.
Okay.
But I am in touch with the local history society to see, because they have connections, and to see if they know the owners. It's been relatively recently changed hands, and it really depends on the attitude of the owners. some owners love their houses and their history, and they want it, they're proud of it, and they want to share it, and others just don't want anywhere near. And
Understood.
so just watch this space and see whether I can get a connection and an intro. But it'd be great.
That's all you can do. Yes. Yes.
That's all you can do, you know, that's all you can do. Okay, so there we go. Let's just try and I'm just going to close that down. So the next stop there is going to be where are we? Going to go back. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to just turn to here. I just want to close down a few windows so that we don't get too lost, or I don't get too lost, more to the point. And go here. Right, there we go. That's fine. So we're back on our itineraries by person here. So that's, we spent a little bit of time looking at that, but I also wanted to think about how people might search for itineraries. And obviously, when you go and visit somewhere, you know the area of the country that you're going to. So I wanted to try and organize county-based itineraries. So these are itineraries based on geography. And so again, you'll come across a very similar layout with the blocks detailing the different areas. We've got Suffolk, North Yorkshire, Monmouthshire, Winchester, West Sussex, Derbyshire, and Kent at the moment. Now you will find, I kind of make no apology for the fact that this is replicated. These are to a degree replicated, not completely, but in the last category here, which is what time you have available. Because again, I wanted to think that maybe some people are thinking, well, I've got a weekend, or I've just got a couple of days, and they might be more interested, folk might be more interested in searching based on that. So I wanted to put together this particular one, which overlaps a little bit with the geography, because obviously all the itineraries I do in geography are time bound as well. So it's relevant that they turn up in this section. So I'm building, and this will take some time, but I'm trying to gradually build up a whole portfolio of itineraries, which will stretch over a range of the types of time people do have available. And I'd love to be able to do a big 28-day itinerary for the adventurous out there. But I just wanted to point out Tudor Days Out. That is new. It's not actually connected to anything yet. I'm working on that with Gemma in the background. So these will simply be just days out. So this will allow me, give me a place, which I don't currently have in TUG, for just say, so do you want to go to Alnwick Castle? Okay, here's what you need to know about Alnwick Castle. So I'm going to be, again, building up a portfolio there. There may be some overlap with some writing in other areas, but again, I'm trying constantly to think about what are people going to be searching on, and making it easy to find the different places from different points in the membership. So that is, I think I can get, yeah, I'm going to just close that down. So, oh, what have I done? Oh, there we go. I closed the wrong thing down. So that's where we've been in the first area. The second area, again, it's really to help people with geography and to give you a very quick overview of Tudor places that you can visit in the UK. I'll just move us over onto that side so I can use the scroll bar. So again, another interactive map. We're constantly adding to this map, so it's going to get very busy, very, very busy. Mm-hmm. But what we try to do when we add a pin is we will try, and I'll have to move that again, just move us over here again for a moment, is to, when we add a pin, we try and put a little bit of an overview of why we've included it, what's relevant in Tudor history that you might want to see there. And you may also, on many of them, you'll either see a blog link because I've written about it in the past. So if you click on that, it will take you through to the blog. Or if there's a podcast, you'll also see a podcast link as well. So this is quite a good place to get just an overview of the whole of the geography of the UK. And maybe identify some places in an area that you want to go and visit, for example, and find out what kind of other content. This content is not, some of these blogs and podcasts, of course, were written way before the membership was created, so they are publicly available. But another function of the Ultimate Guide was I wanted to pull everything together so you're getting access to a lot of exclusive member only stuff, but I'm also trying to make it as easy as possible for you to find all the content that's in the blog. Now I've got somebody on chat. Is there anything I need to check out on chat here? Okay, so that's okay, Monica. I've just seen that's okay. I understand completely. All right, so I'll just move us back over here a second, or maybe down at the bottom here. Okay, so that is, if we go back, so that's just an overview. And then this third area is tombs, which is one of my favorite things. I don't know what that says about me, but I love going and looking at tombs. I'm a tapophile, I think they call it, don't they? I'm trying to see there's few of the people nodding their heads, and I'm not here on my own.
No, for sure. I love Robert Dudley and Letisse's that you also showcased recently in the video. That's just oh, it's just lovely, and all the symbolism of the yeah, all around it, the cinquefoil, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, very lucky. And actually, it just occurred to me because I was going up to Beach and Chapel to get some more photos. I've got a million, but I wanted to get some more. But it's only occurred to me, actually, we could take a camera and do a video. And actually, I'd like to try and do that as often as I can.
That's
it's
great.
Not always easy in a church because you do need permission and. But I know the people at the Beach and Chapel really well. So I also did a shorter video, but got one of Ambrose's tomb, which is coming up next. So there'll be another video. So just to, as you can see, folks, if you're new to this and you haven't looked, I'm building up a portfolio of tombs as I wander around and come across an interesting Tudor tomb. I take pictures and make a note of it now. I've got a long list of people that I want to get into here. They're queuing up to get on. But yes, Robert was the first one. So you will find the pictures of each tomb. You will find a link below there that will take you through to the write-up where I tend to give some essential info. Usually try and do a bit of a bio. It's kind of, I think my bios are getting bigger as I'm getting sort of more drawn in. But yes, I do tend to give an overview bio. I'm not trying to write a complete history of the person, but touch on some of the most important points associated with their lives. You will find relevant pictures, and also then I also do the feature on the tomb itself. So, you know, when was the funeral? Do we have any records of the funeral? What can you see on the tomb? And as Laurie was saying, on this instance, we have managed to get a video. So if you click on that, that will, I don't think it takes you through to, does it take you through to YouTube? No, it plays it there for you.
It's just there, yeah.
And we were lucky enough to have
he rested at his manor.
Now let me ask you something, ladies. Does that look like a green screen? Because it's so, and it isn't, it's the real thing, but it's just so, cameras these days are just so pin sharp. It's amazing the kind of the quality that you get. So I'm going to try as often as I can to do videos wherever I can when I go to a tomb. So that'd be kind of cool. And then I will also include some visitor information and yet again places that you might want to go in the area. Good. Any questions on tombs? Anything else? Any questions? Full stop. I'm just going to take a breath for a moment. All good? That takes us back to tombs. Anybody got a tomb request? I'm not short of them, but you know, if you really want a tomb request, I will do my best to bump them up the list.
We'll think about that.
Just such an incredible amount of work, Sarah. I mean, you know, not only the archival, the on-site, you know, research, you know, the library research, but just figuring out how to put this all into a website. I mean, that's what my students are for. I'm like, here, take my things, and but you're doing all of it. So it's just an amazing amount of work and skill and expertise. And I'm sure I speak for everybody that we're incredibly grateful and appreciative that you keep learning how to do new things.
Yes, we all benefit.
Oh, bless you. That's very kind of you. It was a bit of a steep learning curve. Like most things to do with IT, you think, oh, this won't take very long. Just a few pages.
Great photos too, Sarah. I know it's hard sometimes to get a nice photo, close up especially.
Yeah, and I'd say I helped a lot by technology. I mean, the quality of the latest iPhones are just, me and Chris are forever going. We used to carry around huge cameras with us. But the iPhones are so incredible now. We always make sure we've got the latest because it's part of what we do. We want to bring great pictures and clarity to people. But they're so phenomenal. We do all of our filming on the iPhone now as well. It's quite amazing.
People do like entire feature films on Pixel phones or iPhones now because they're so, and you can tell, I mean, if you've done any shooting in front of a green screen, which you've done, and I do sometimes in my work too, you can usually tell the green screen because especially with ladies' hair, if you've got any curls or anything, that's where, so you can see how precise yours is because the picture's so sharp. There's no like little fuzzy thing around your hair, especially outside. If your hair is moving around a little bit, you can tell that anyway,
it's live. So good. Well, I shall keep going. If you do have any tomb requests, let me know. But as I say, there's plenty to come. Okay, so that's tombs. Let's back on out of there. You can search, by the way, so you might notice as well, there's usually a search bar at the top. So, I mean, at the moment, it's not too tricky because there's not vast amount, but I see this project as lasting the next 10 years. So you can imagine that in time, it might be quite useful to have a search bar. Good. Okay, moving along. So for those of you who are road trip travelers, we have our historic accommodation section, and Gemma does a lot of work on this. So wherever I'm wandering around, if ever I come across anything that looks like amazing place to stay that is either medieval or Tudor, I usually make a note of it and say, Gemma, how about doing this one? So Gemma does we try and do 2 a month. So we're building up a nice little resource now. And so this is supposed to be here to give you a little bit of icing on the cake if you are traveling and you really want to top your stay off by staying in some fabulous historic locations, because there are some amazing ones. And some of them I've stayed in, some of them I haven't, and I look enviously at, and I would go, I'd love to stay there. So we'll just scroll down and show you some of the places that we've come across. And we try to do a variety actually, from the high-end 4-5-star luxury like Thornbury Castle to places that are much more affordable. Lovely Spread Eagle Hotel from like 1420, I think it's built. It's incredible inside. We've got places with spas like Fawsley Hall. Elizabeth I stayed there, the beautiful Hever we all know. Places like this, which are just divine, very affordable. So we're trying to do all sorts of a range of different things, from hotels to self-contained, through luxury end to more budget. And I think perhaps one of the latest ones, which we're still waiting for, I don't know whether we've got some beautiful places here, honestly. The New Inn is the latest one. I think Gemma's just recently published that. So we're also trying to cover geography as well. So we're trying to find different places so that we can get places pinpointed. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested when you guys hit the road here and travel around, if you use any of these, I'd love to hear from you. Love to get some reviews from on the road, because as I say, of course, I've been to some. I'd probably need to be a considerably amount more wealthy than I am currently to be able to stay at all of these.
Sarah,
yeah.
Excuse me. Do you have any recommendations in York? I think you did.
Yes.
I just don't know which one it was or two.
Yes, I do, and
Not-
I know which ones they are. I just need to gather my thoughts, and I probably need to send them to you. And because I just my memory is really bad about the exact names. I know which ones they are, and I can picture them.
Right.
One is on the north side of the Minster, and it's just a beautiful place. The other ones, it's a very well known hotel.
And you
If I
already
get
told
back
me
to you on
one.
that.
You already told me once. I'll have to just dig out my email as well.
Yeah,
So you don't.
it might come to me as I'm talking. Sometimes it does. Yeah. Are you planning on a York trip?
Yes. Yes, I would like to next year.
Oh, lovely, 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 lovely. Well, I'm just about to, for Tudor Places, I'm just about to do a York feature. So York will be coming up into the membership in the not too distant future. Okay, lovely. So that's where we are with our membership and the historic accommodation. Travel Essentials is a series of blogs. I don't need to click into that. It's a series of blogs which, well, actually, let me do that. It's a series of blogs which basically, again, for road trip travelers, they cover things like what things cost, when to travel, typically English things to do, stuff about winter and Christmas. And although this section is relatively static, what I do every year is I update it because there's lots of info about prices, which of course are changing all the time. So some of these blogs get an annual update wherever relevant. So I do pay attention to them. And if there's any other topics that you think I've missed or should cover in this particular section, of course, just let me know. I'd be happy to do so. Okay, how are we doing for time? So the community. So this is for those of you who, if anybody hasn't yet been in the community, this is our little community section. This is where we have our latest chat, as you can see. Hey, Joanne, you're there. Yay. Brownie points.
It's good.
Lovely. So yeah, this is where I post quite regularly. I'd say 2 or 3 times a week. Certainly if I've been somewhere, I try to put photos in. If I found out any interesting events, try to put those in. I know Gemma comes in here as she did today, just to remind folk that the latest Zoom meeting is on. And I'm also going to be, are you all in the US? I think you are, aren't you? Like, I'm about to just advertise the fact that I've got 2 tickets for the Holbein exhibition coming up in November. So if you want to jump over the pond.
Laura, go.
I'd love to.
I think it's November till April, right? So it's a pretty big,
it is.
It's a big window. I know that's a long time, ladies. We can figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So for example, but I've got some books I want to give away. I've got to do tickets, and I'm going to be posting in here. So the folk who are active in the community are going to be seeing those giveaways first. So yeah, it's a great place. I think it's a great place to hang out, and I enjoy hearing from people. So thank you, ladies, for being part of that group. Okay, so that's the community. Where else do we need to go? Oh, it's gone on to a different, I think it might have gone on to have I gone on to a different, oh, there we're back. Okay, so those are the 6 main core areas that make up the center of the Tudor, the Ultimate Guide. I promised that we'd move on and just quickly look at some of the other video stuff. So we have our Tudor Talk, which takes place once a month. It didn't take place last month because of family stuff, but we are back on the road. And as I said, we've just heard from John about Tudor Oxford, which is, I don't know whether any of you made it. I think you, Laurie, you were there, weren't you, Laurie?
I was there. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's amazing. His knowledge is just, he's so interesting to hear talk about everything and anything around Oxford.
He knows a lot. He's been guiding for 30 years around Oxford.
Oh, you can tell.
Yeah, he knows the place inside out. And I don't know.
I appreciated.
Go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go, Laurie.
I was just going to say, I appreciated you kind of keeping him a little bit more, we're a little more interested in, like, obviously the Oxford martyrs, where they stayed, where they were held, but beforehand, and then walking to the exit, and, it happened, Cranmer, and then Latimer and Ridley, or they were first and then Cranmer. But very, very interesting just hearing those kind of behind the scenes details, around that part of the town too, where they were in advance of their executions. So really found that interesting.
Yeah, I think it was
Martyrs.
Yeah,
Oxford Martyrs.
the Oxford Martyrs. Yeah, Ridley, Latimer, and Cranmer. Yeah, I mean, he knows so much. Yes, I think we could have gone on for another hour, but
Probably, yeah.
But I was blown away. I only really realized about St Mary's about a year ago, and I had no idea that. I mean, maybe I should have. I don't know, but I've lived close to Oxford for many, many, many years, and I hadn't just the penny hadn't really dropped, and so I remember finding myself in there going, "What? I'm standing in the place that Cranmer last stood in before he was taken out to his execution." And I was also really interested. So I hope you'll go back, guys, and have a look. It's in fact, I'll show you how here, this is where you can access all previous Tudor Talk videos. So if you click on there, it'll take you through to the homepage, and you'll be able to find all the previous talks that we've had. Some fascinating stuff from fascinating people. And that is actually live. That link is live now. So if you clicked on there, I'm just waiting for Gemma to pop the photo in, but that link is live. So it is there, and you can go and watch it or rewatch it. But I know that there are some artifacts, like he talked about the stump of the stake purportedly that Cranmer was burnt on survives in the Ashmolean, and I had no idea. And
that's crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. They found it below. Because apparently, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
It's a child talking about it.
Tell us. Come on, tell us.
All right, then.
We're going to listen. We're going to listen.
Okay. So where they were executed was on Broad Street, and it was outside the Oxford city walls on the north of the city. I think it was, Northgate, on the north of the city. And it wasn't the normal place in which heretics were burnt. It was quite unusual for them to be burnt there. So so they know from records that the only burning that took place there was of the Oxford Martyrs. And it's now, as you probably know, it's commemorated by a stone cross in the centre of the road, and a plaque against, I think he said it was Balliol College, I think. Anyway, the college that's right next to the road. Right. But they said that a while back they excavated underneath the road, and they found through archaeological digs, they found this ash pit, and they found a stump of the wood which was surrounded by ash, which they conclude really can only come from this event, because they just used to burn people in a different place. So of course, they can't absolutely say this is it, but as far as they can match up the archaeology with the history, they believe that is the stump of the stake, and it's in the Ashmolean Museum, along with the sword. Was it Leo X gave to Henry VIII when he declared him Defender of the Faith, and that apparently is stuck in some quite dark cabinets in the Ashmolean, and he said they really don't make much of it, but this is a hugely important historic artifact. And again, I had no idea. I've been to the Ashmolean many times, or several times over the years, but now I'm going to have to go back and try and find those two things.
So the stump is in the Ashmolean as well? They could probably do what are those archaeologists dendrochronology on that. So they would have the terminus antiquem for how old the tree, like when was the last time the tree stump was alive, right? Isn't that how they, I don't know, I'm not a scientist.
No, it is
something like that.
Something like that, right? So,
maybe they have, and maybe that's part of why they are so convinced that it is. I don't know. I need to get myself, and we didn't ask John that question, so that it would have been great if you'd been there, Monica.
I had class yesterday, so I really wanted to, because Oxford is, for those of us in academia, it's like academic Disneyland, right? So
Ah.
I just wanted to see, I wanted to see it again. I've been there, a couple of times, and I was just at Cambridge this last April, which is like second academic Disneyland,
Yeah.
But I'm sorry I missed it, but I will watch it. I'm going to catch up today. I'll watch it.
Good, lovely. So yes, he was interesting, and I think we could have learnt a lot more, but we literally ran out of time. So I said we may well invite John back to do part 2 of Oxford next year. But I would love to do Cambridge as well, actually. I'd like to do, because I went to Cambridge. I used to live near Cambridge, but this was before I was really obsessed with Tudor places per se. And it was when I did the masterclass earlier on this year, realizing again just how many fantastic places there are to see in Cambridge. And I'd love somebody to do the same kind of thing. So watch this space. And again, I am really happy if you know of people you'd love to hear talk, and they do not have to be the famous folk that, I mean, they're great, but also it can be, you can find equally fascinating people who know a lot about their local history. You're really deep. That's what I find out about the local historians. They often go really deep about something that they've spent their whole life obsessing over, and so if you've got any requests, I'm very happy to hear. You just drop me a line, and I'll do what I can. Okay, so that's I think we back out of there. So so we're back onto the dashboard now. The masterclasses, again, you can just tow through. We've done 2 masterclasses so far. Now I'm going to ask your help, ladies, actually, on the masterclasses, because I obviously want to run masterclasses that people are really, really interested in hearing about. And as you can see, I've done London, and that was a very popular one. I did Days Out from London, which was quite popular. A lot of work goes into putting those together, I'll be honest. And so I really want to be doing stuff that people will want to come and listen to. So I sort of feel, part of me feels that, sorry if I'm asking for your help here, but part of me feels that I think the London one probably can be repeated from time to time, because there's always going to be new people who are wanting to come to London, and London is the hub. But I also want to, of course, do other things and other places. And it may be that you want to, perhaps think about it and maybe let me know, drop me a note. But if you've got any thoughts about what you think would make for a great masterclass, I'd really love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in like Kent and the Southeast, right? And it's usually pretty easy to get to. As well from London as a base. So because that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind for me. Even the Southwest isn't as bad, because it reminds you of the Progress, right? The 1535 Progress a little bit when you think of the Southwest. But also pretty easy to get to a little further, but could be something that's practical and definitely interesting too.
Do you think that it would be interesting to do a masterclass on like one of the progresses that I've researched in full, but do it as a masterclass, i.e. if you want to go and visit, sort of turn it from being more, to talk more about how do you go, how do you visit, how do you travel, what do you look out for, that kind of thing. Do you think that would be of interest as well? Because I take your point, Laurie, about the Southeast, and I think you're right. I think that's a natural, because there is such a concentration. There is a lot there. So I'm going, that could well be the next one. But you just triggered, as you were talking, you were triggering my thinking about whether there might be something about following a progress.
Yeah, I think because it's places we've heard of, right? Because we've read about and we hear of in your blogs, and the places on the progresses, and then to now make it, well, here's the practical way to get there, or to travel to them, or here's what to see at them. I think there's a link there that could be interesting to people. It'd be interesting to me. Certainly open to others' thoughts. Yeah.
It's almost like a subset of, or a variation on the masterclass, which would be something you've already branded in the footsteps of, right, in the progress of, to follow an actual progress would be almost like a different kind of, masterclass, right? Because it's a specific in the footsteps type of thing,
Yeah.
Which of course is something, with your book, with Natalie and your books, is something that's already branded to you guys, so it makes sense. But I see it as kind of separate, or at least like a variation from the masterclass a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I might need to kind of just dwell with that a little bit as to whether it goes under, if I go back out, whether it goes under these progress related videos, and they kind of almost, I either do a masterclass or I do a progress related, and one around a progress. So, because I could do a progress that's me sort of going out and just filming the places. And I am thinking of doing that actually, as much as I did it for the 1486, as you know. I can't do all of the places because it's just literally just too much. But so I am doing that, but I think there could be a more interactive version of that maybe that fits into a kind of a masterclass theme. I guess at the end of the day, you just have to give it a go.
Linked maybe to the itineraries too, or
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, some of the longer progresses, there's no way, right? Anyone's going to do it, but like, a mini progress or something like what Lori's saying about Kent, that's obviously there's so much down there, and I'm sure all of us have done that when we've been, the first thing you do when you get outside of London is do the little circle around Hever, and you can get to Canterbury or whatever. Even for us Americans, that's sort of like the first place you'd think of. So maybe that would serve as a like kind of a guide as far as how much, like you were saying, it would be too much to do like a whole 5-month progress or something.
Yeah. I think there's something in there. I feel that there's something in there. I'm just going to sit with it, but I think probably the next one would be the Southeast. Thank yous very much, ladies, for inputting onto that. And I shall start to let that go on.
Excuse me, Sarah. One thing I thought of is I like cathedrals. So anything that you could focus on, Salisbury, Winchester, any of the cathedrals.
That's interesting. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because you could do a masterclass on cathedrals, or you could do like the top 5 cathedrals or the top 5 castles to visit, or you could theme them in that way. Or the other way of theming things is by person. So, top 5 places to do with, I don't know, Catherine Parr or whatever. That's potentially the other thing. Okay. Good.
But if the theme of the master classes has tradition, or if you want to keep it to geography, then that maybe is a little. I like the idea, but maybe it's, or maybe that's not the theme of the master classes. Maybe it's anything, and then that's.
I think it's a lot. Yeah, I think it can be anything, but I think the idea for me was that it was going to be about helping people actually get around. I think, but
probably too broad of a subject. Anyway.
But you could probably do. There's enough cathedrals in the Southwest, or that you could probably still do one.
Yeah. You could do cathedrals of the south of England, cathedrals of the north of England, cathedrals of the sort of west of England. You could divvy it up like that. And it's not necessarily about people doing a circuit, although they might want to, but it's just giving people an idea of this is what's in this area, and this is, if you want to go, these are some of the ones, you might get some inspiration. You might want to go to some of them, or you might want to go to all of them. Anyway, thank you. Okay, that's been very useful for me. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So just scrolling on down, these are our member only videos. So we have our virtual summit. So this should take us through, hopefully, to the virtual summit homepage, where you'll see all the past summits. Everybody can access all of them, the exception of this one, which is currently only available to road trip travelers, but 6 months after it goes live, I'll be putting that. So around about Christmas time, I'll make that available to everybody. So if you are on the Armchair Traveller, that will soon become available to you as well. So that's our virtual summit page. And then, as I mentioned here, this is probably one of the more recent developments. My aim is when I have completed writing up a progress, I would then want to convert that into a video series. So any other video. So as you can see, when we did the podcast, the Battle of the Solent podcast recently, we happened to film it all. So I wanted to make sure that we just popped that in here. But as you can see, we did 3 parts for the 1486 progress. I filmed at St. John's, and then I filmed at Lincoln, and then I filmed up at York. And so I want to do that with the future progresses as well. Choose a few of the most salient locations and tell the progress in video format, hopefully to complement the blog write-up. And I'm very well aware it's 7 o'clock, so I think we are actually just getting to the end of this. And yes, in fact, we are at the end. And then we go down to the podcast, which of course you guys get your private subscriber only feed once you become members. So you get access to the whole of the podcast. The rest of the world gets access to about a third or a half of the podcast. So I think that's everything. So I'm going to stop sharing and just say any questions. Oh, thank you, Monica. Excellent. Yeah, and any questions or comments before we close up today?
Thank you. This is great. Always good to kind of refresh what's on the site, and if we can give some input and just chat among us and hear other ideas, it's always good.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. It's lovely for me to see you all. I'm getting to know all of you now. It's like gathering of old friends. It's fantastic. It's a lovely meetup. I will continue to do these. New folk and folk who've been members are very welcome. The format will be roughly the same, but I'm always happy to flex the format depending on who's here and what's needed. And yeah, just to say, I mean, I can't reiterate enough that, this is a long-term project. And of course, I'm sort of full of ideas and things that I want to do and direction that I want to go in, but this is definitely a two-way street, and it's here to hopefully help you immerse yourself ever more in Tudor history through places. And so anything that you want to see, that you particularly are really interested in, or you think I should know about, or think I should do or focus on, just drop me a line at any time. It's lovely to hear from you.
Thank you for everything, Sarah. Really, was said at the beginning. Appreciate all the work that you put into this. It's very apparent. So we're loving it, and thank you.
Honestly, it's so fulfilling for me to have you guys here. It makes it. I mean, yes, I could do this on my own, and I would have a ton of fun, but having you here and enjoying it and interacting just amplifies it ever more. So I'm really appreciative. So it's 7:05. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for spending an hour with me. It's been lovely.
Thanks,
and I'll see you guys. Okay, take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye.